This is your boy DJ RonRon the Gladiator. If you're watching us, I'm sure you're watching us on Mutapa TV. In the studio, we've got a special guest on the couch. Usually you're used to us on the DJ set. We've got Trilagy, R&B singer-songwriter. Trilagy, we want to welcome you for the first time for a one-to-one interview in the studio with us.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Man, Trilagy, what's your legal name? What's the name on the birth certificate?
Terrence.
Why call yourself Trilagy?
Trilagy. I had a few stage names before, but I always wanted a name like a rapper. You know, like it's funny. I'm a lot like my main influence. One of them was Jodeci, and they were always like into rap. Same with me. I've always been into hip hop, and I just found my first name. A lot of people are like, oh, you should have used your first name. I just sort of found it myself. I found it a bit
Terrence. You felt like Terrence was like, a little bit awkward.
Yeah, it was cool, but I was like, it's a bit
Future
boring.
calls himself Future. Is it his real name?
No, I don't think
it's
so.
It's a stage name.
Yeah, I think it's just a stage name and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I like names like that, like Future and stuff. Like, and why not? You know what I mean?
Man,
like,
how long have you been in the music industry as an artist, and why did you have to choose R&B as a genre?
Well, I've been in for a few years, man. I've dropped, a few things like here and there and singles, but I always loved R&B since like Michael Jackson and that.
Wow.
So, like R&B has always been there. That was always probably my primary.
Like Jackson
influence.
5s and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love like really old stuff to like really new stuff. But Michael Jackson, since I was a little kid, I was like, oh, wow. Like, he used to mix genres, like R&B mixed with rock, mixed with things. People don't realize that with pop. Mm-hmm. So I always just thought that was really cool, so...
Man, who has been your biggest influence in your music career, man?
I always say this.
To date.
I'm going to say it again, Tupac, I would say.
Yes, sir.
But obviously he's a rapper. But as far as the singing side, I would have to say that there's a 90s group called Jodeci. I don't know, a lot of people.
Yes, sir. I know
heard.
That one.
They influenced a ton of groups like Drew Hill and Jagged Edge and all that. But Jodeci were probably, when I heard them, I decided like, I want to do this.
And Jodeci is split to Casey and George?
Yeah, they brought out an album I think a couple of years back, a sort of like a comeback type thing and that.
All right.
But as far as I know, they're still kind of together. But Casey and JoJo are sort of more prominent nowadays. So pretty much.
What about Michael Jackson? You were talking about Michael Jackson before.
Michael Jackson, yeah. He just spans so many genres. You know what I mean? Like, and he.
In my family, my uncle used to play a lot of Michael Jackson.
Internationally.
So how did you get to know about Michael Jackson as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I think just from TV, pretty much, and music videos. And
MTV?
MTV. Well, yeah, I think that was a little bit before my time, but like I've heard about it. Yeah. But I know that he even influenced MTV, you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
As far as music videos went, because I mean, at first I think like they didn't want to play. There was one of his videos that they refused to play
because it was Motown.
No, I just think there was a whole, insurgence of urban music, and I think at that time it was mostly rock and things like that. And when Michael Jackson came, it was, it was kind of like poppy R&B, so they didn't know how to take it, so I think they weren't as interested in playing his videos. But Michael Jackson was so huge even at that time.
And
they had to,
and they were releasing a lot of music at that time too.
For sure,
and a lot of fans were after the Jackson 5s at that time, and Michael Jackson as well. How do you feel the music industry is like in Australia, man? Because a lot of people always say you have to take your music to America to make it big.
I get that, and I mean,
because looking at it at the moment, there are very few really Australian musicians who didn't make it, unless if they had to go to America.
Yes, I made the States. You got a few now. They just, I don't know what it is. Like there is a few that are signed to labels and things like that. I guess. The marketing isn't always behind them, I would say, because a lot of times I've just sort of found them through social media. So I haven't seen them on TV per se. Like I've seen a few on TV, not that you don't see them, seen a few on TV, but they don't get the same marketing push as a lot of pop artists and stuff like that in this country.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I've seen, like there's a few that you got like Sampa the Great, obviously, and B Wise and a few others, you know. But they don't seem to get the push that a lot of other artists, pop artists get, or you know, different type of genres get in this country. You know, the urban,
the music culture. Do you think the music culture is changing into a lot of like hip hop-ish type of music at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. There's like so much, especially in Melbourne. I mean, Australia wide, but as far as I know, in Melbourne, there's so many up and coming rappers and artists and stuff. So there's tons of talent. There's no lack of talent. But I guess
why is it? Is it because of that auto tune that everyone can sing it and stuff like that? And R&B is difficult.
Yeah,
because I understand your genre, man.
Yeah.
You have to be good at singing.
Yeah,
to,
for sure.
to be an R&B
That's a very good point.
artist, man. Is the culture being changed because of technology and stuff?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like it's probably easier to put a track together nowadays, which isn't a bad thing. But I guess it gives an influx and an overload of too many
auto tunes.
Yeah,
just say
look, I listen to everything. But like you said, I think people don't realize. Even I remember I saw this interview with T-Pain and he was explaining it, because that auto tune thing really, it hits every note, right? So if you're not hitting those notes properly, it's most likely going to sound like garbage. But a lot of times, if someone's flow is simple enough, then it can sound okay. That's why a lot of people can manage to be can rap and sort of use it and things. But technically, like, you know, the better that you hit those notes, the better that, you know, you're going to sound, even with auto tune.
Do you feel technology has made it easier for everyone else to be an artist or something like that, or just get into music? And if you've got a good big bass sound, then you can just sort of like jump in.
Yeah, definite. I
mean, technology, is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I reckon it's good, because now people used to rely on like really expensive equipment, or they had to go to certain people. And obviously, you know, like a lot of people have been doing for the last few years, you can just make stuff in your bedroom, like, and,
all right,
you know, again, it comes down to how much technical knowledge you have, because anyone can think that they're mixing or writing well, but you got to develop an ear, or you have to have an ear for it. And also, you know, some people are lucky that like they're just naturally good songwriters, but
yes, sir.
I think that it comes with experience too sometimes.
All right.
And some people are just lucky.
Yeah,
they come up with
how competitive are the other artists in Australia? And do you find yourself in any beefs, like beef, because of some people are just jealous of where you are with your achievements and stuff like that?
You know,
how competitive is it?
Well,
and do you find yourself in the beefs because of your achievements?
Well, not necessarily. You know, I pretty much, I try to keep to myself, and you know, I try to be positive when it comes to other artists.
You try, but I mean, like, do people come to you with
I'll put it like this, right? I think it's funny because, you know, with social media, you have a lot of people that follow you, whatever you're doing. So you see a lot of things. You see a lot of artists. You see things like that. And the funny thing is, I think that the funny thing is, I think nowadays it feels like you could be busy doing your own thing, and then you just happen to notice that someone is in competition with you that you didn't even know you were in competition with them. Does that make sense? Like, sometimes. So
give us an example. How do you hear of any beef? Do you hear it on social media?
No.
Or your friend will come up to you like, "Oh man, this dude is decent." And
no,
stuff
not anything like that. I don't. You know, as far as I've heard, I don't know. You know, I don't hear everything, but it's not so much like what I hear. It's more like I see how one artist will drop something and someone else will have
louder than
others.
Exactly.
And another artist will drop something at the same time, then someone will drop it, then they'll drop it. It's like people are unnecessarily in competition with each other.
All right.
And especially in Melbourne, where you got a lot of African artists, you got a lot of Mauritian artists, you got a lot of different cultures doing music. They, you know, again, unity is a big thing. I don't know why people don't get that. Like, we can all, you know, look, we can all do it. It's not a thing of wanting beef. It's not a thing of it's just that nowadays, like you said, with the technology, it's a lot easier. So no one should be competing. You should be competing against yourself. Like, oh, I did that. Is this track? I'm all like, not to say I'm all that, but when I do a track, I'm always trying to outdo the last track, or so I'm too busy doing this to notice. I see things from time to time.
So with media, Unity, what are you talking about? Tell us, just briefly. Tell us what you would want to see Melbournians doing, or Australians as a whole, as musicians doing.
Okay, they need to. I think as far as like Melbourne goes, people should drop that whole pretentious side of the industry. Because the way I see it is like, unfortunately, reality is that it's just like high school. The music industry is just like high school. I know, right? You got popular kids.
You've got the nerds. You've got the popular kids.
There you go.
Then you've got just the ones you don't even know they're there.
Yeah, and not to diss anyone again, it's just that, as far as I'm concerned, hip hop R&B comes from people that were oppressed. It comes from the blues. It comes from people that aren't being heard. And what happens, why I made that analogy of the high school thing and the popular kids and all this, is because they've almost taken something that was used for the oppressed and they've tried to make it elite. And as far as in my own opinion, I don't see it working like that. It's for people that don't have a platform, that don't know the coolest promoters, that don't know the coolest DJs, that don't have contacts.
But the Americans always do that, man. If we're talking about the man himself, Puff Daddy, he always promotes a lot of like that hip hop artists. Are they oppressed, or nowadays? I mean, like the new artists.
It's not like it was probably back then. I mean, look, this, I mean, obviously people know what's been happening in America and stuff, as far as like the urban community,
so
African Americans.
You think in Australia we can't find people who have been oppressed?
It's not a thing. Well, I mean, look, Sudanese have gone a pretty bad rap, like on the media and stuff.
Yeah,
so it's not like people aren't, they're not going through it. It's just that this country doesn't have like a super culture of like hip hop. It's developing it. It's happening now. You got like a lot of artists that are doing it, but it's just that America seems, the music in general, any kind of music seems to be more of a culture, whereas here in Australia, I guess a lot of people take it more as a hobby. And then you got your serious artists, of course, but as far as everybody listening to music and buying me stuff, it's more like a hobby for a lot of people.
All right.
So we don't. We're developing the culture now,
or probably it's just the affordability to record what you feel.
Yeah, well, that too.
It's expensive to record here.
Yeah. A lot of people got, like a lot of people can get their hands on equipment and stuff like that, but a lot of other people, like you said, a lot of people still don't. And it does cost to go in the studio to mix and not the whole process of developing a track. It's expensive. I just feel like this country's music industry is still geared towards pop and rock. You know what I mean?
So what do we need to do to improve the music as well, so that it's of variety, like the variety is more?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because like now we're way more multicultural than we were 10-20 years ago, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So there's such a massive amount of different cultures that are doing music nowadays, especially hip hop, right? And through that, people have developed more platforms, right? So instead of running to the already established platforms, artists should get together with other artists, or even promoters and DJs, or people that want to be around, create their own. And you can do it. You don't need to keep running to these majors and stuff like that.
The mainstream won't give you the opportunity.
Not always, and it's quite difficult. Whereas,
how many albums so far for Trilagy, or singles and stuff like that? We know of the album that we already have. In our studio here. It's called Where I'm At.
Yep.
And man, can you tell us about all the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously before Trilagy, people knew me as Critical. I had multiple rap names, right? Man. So So I had multiple rap names.
All right, thanks for letting us know.
So
you were Critical before?
I was Critical for the last few years before a Trilagy, and I dropped like you know, a lot of demo type stuff.
Yep.
I think I had a couple of mixtapes, one or two albums that are on iTunes now. I think still
But
out
are
there.
they officially albums or?
Yeah.
Consider them
No.
as,
Well,
mixtape or something?
yeah, it's, you know, look, man, music's always a progression.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as like when I was critical, like you know, Revolutionary Blues and The Truthful were like official 2 albums that I dropped. And yeah, and a whole bunch of singles and, you know, music videos and stuff. And yeah, I just felt like it was a time. Again, that's, you know, the name and all that. I just thought it was time for a bit of a change. You know, like,
All right.
I always like evolving and sort of moving forward and, you know, developing my style and my sound. So I was like, you know what, I really want a fresh start. If I can get that out. And yeah, and I just sort of
So
like
the
moved
fresh
in.
start was Where I'm At.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's a beautiful album.
Yeah,
man.
before.
How hard was it to compile everything and put it together?
Yeah,
Recording and stuff.
a bit.
I was
because,
waiting for a video. It never came out.
Yeah, for where I'm at.
Yeah.
Well,
do you have a couple of videos out?
Yeah,
Some songs on there?
yeah. Like a couple months ago, I dropped Television from the EP.
Yes.
So I did drop that one, and
wanted the whole album to be
that.
you know when
Yeah.
they have the interlude and the
yeah.
first song, the second song, it's like a drama.
It's like,
up to the last one.
I guess I already before I even got into the studio to finish mixing the EP, I already had like a plan. Like, look, I'll probably only drop 1, possibly 2 videos. The strongest tracks that I felt were the strongest. I mean, they're all great, but you know, I really liked Television because of the political aspect.
Yeah.
And then
that time, yeah. Even now, that one applies every day.
Yeah, exactly.
That one applies every day.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you should know because, you know, it has that nice 90s R&B sort of sound.
Yes, sir.
You know, but I really just wanted to make sure that whatever I dropped, like as far as videos or visuals, whatever, it was exactly what I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, and they were the visuals that I wanted, and it was done the way that I wanted to put it out. You know what I mean? So I thought if I'm going to focus, I'll focus on 1 or 2 and make sure it's exactly how I want it, you know. So that's why there wasn't videos. You know, I don't usually do, like, if I do an EP or large project, I don't do videos for like every single track, but like 1 or 2, you know, and I usually drop.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Talking about projects, man, I hear that you've got a single coming out soon.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that, man? For the rest of the whole interview, I was waiting for this question.
For that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the question I was waiting for, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Tell us about that one, man.
The single's
What's
called,
the name of the single?
single's called Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary, yeah, kind of long, kind of like, yeah, kind of long.
Yeah.
I was looking for something that kind of summed up, you know.
Why extraordinary?
Just because I wanted something that was like, that sounded otherworldly. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because nowadays, man,
So am
like,
I going to be impressed?
you should be.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, like, you know, I like it, you know,
Yeah.
but what I like, you know,
Yeah,
someone might not necessarily like, but
I have to. Is extraordinary coming with visuals
with a bit,
as
no
well?
question. Like, that's, I already sort of planned that, you know, around the time I was finished writing it and stuff, and just before I just got it mixed, I was thinking, yeah, I definitely need
Who
to drop a
produced it?
visual. Well, I did the production and the songwriting, then it was mixed and mastered by Zito. So, yeah, I definitely have to drop a visual for this. Like, this is, you know,
For sure.
oh no, 100%. Yeah, because I really, you know, like every artist is saying, whenever they drop a new,
What's the message in the
single.
in the music that you're seeing, man? Like, what's the message you're passing on? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know you pass on different messages.
Different messages, yeah.
Television was a different political one.
Yeah.
and a lot of like love songs and a lot of like heartbreak songs as well.
yeah,
What's extraordinary? man?
it's
Tell us.
it's funny because where I'm at, it sort of had political and then it had love songs, right? But usually when I do tracks, there's sort of more, you know, everyday topics and
All right.
and issues and stuff like that. So I guess I like to talk about everything. And even though I'm an R&B singer, you would think there'll be more love songs, but I like to sort of focus also on, you know, world issues and stuff like that.
Alright,
I like to
yeah,
mix that in a little bit and you know, be truthful about things and And then occasionally I have sort of more, relationship stuff and a good mix. I like to think so.
What has been the highlight of your music career to date, man?
Well, I'm still trying to reach my peak.
Yes, sir.
But I think like meeting the Outlaws, that was awesome.
Wow.
Did
you do a show there with the Outlaws?
Yeah. When they I think it was the first time. It was the 10th anniversary tour. It was done at Chase's in Melbourne.
Wow. When?
Oh God, when was that? 2000 something.
2012 or something. Yeah.
No, it was around 2008, 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it was about 2008, 2009, and so I was way younger, but it was great. Like
did you have a back pass thing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're actually
backstage.
Yeah, actually, when
next time you have them ones, go DJ, man.
Of course,
I'll come
man. Of course, you invited. Of course,
yes, sir.
I guess that was awesome. Like and also, I sort of knew some people that were dealing with had like a radio show, so we were still in contact with them. I had my management at the time.
Wow.
We got in contact with him and we organized some shows for him. One show was at Mosa Room next to Chase's, and then we also got him to come into the radio station. I think it was PBS at the time. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, PBS.
It was like PBS. They came in. Young Noble, Edie, Stormy.
Usually PBS does those interviews too, man.
Yeah, so they came in.
How was the experience on stage, man, with all that crowd?
It was great. Like
sometimes you just can't sing.
Surprisingly, I was fine. I've been preparing for it. I sort of knew it was coming up, and the only time you really get nervous is like when you're not with anything. When you're underprepared.
Exactly.
You're not prepared.
Sometimes you forget your lyrics.
Have you done that before? I haven't forgotten my lyrics. I might miss a word or two here and there.
Yeah, but you just cover it out.
But usually it's because not so much that you forget, but like you're so hyped.
Yeah.
You got to understand, you're on stage, your adrenaline's rushing.
Yes, sir.
So I'm okay now. I've done a few shows, so you sort of learn to balance it a bit, but it never goes away. Like, you always like... I wouldn't say it's nervous energy. It's more like, it's just you're just kind of anxious to not to finish or nothing, but you're just sort of like hoping that you connect with the crowd.
Exactly.
You connect with your lyrics. So,
So man, what's the future with Trilagy, man? And it goes for 2020.
Oh well, how much time?
Apart from the new single that we're waiting for.
Well, drop the single,
shows and stuff.
For sure, drop the video, and then just start doing a whole bunch of shows. We're doing drum theater tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is going to reach before tomorrow, but if it doesn't, Feb 20th we're doing drum theater. I'm doing an earlier show inside the theater. Around 2:30, and then we come back for Our Beat.
So what's inside the theater? What's going on there?
They've got this because they do a lot of theatrical stuff. Obviously inside that place, in that venue. So it's the official season launch for drum theater.
Where are you on the schedule?
I'll be opening the show basically. So
you'll be the first one.
I'll be the first one.
So people will just go like, okay, we're here.
Yeah.
Then they see you.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Yep,
you're under pressure, my friend."
Yeah. So again, preparation.
But it's good because you can do whatever you want. Watch other shows, what you relax.
Of course, it's always good.
Finished.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah,
because it gives you a chance to
see other people,
and get your show out of the way as soon as possible.
You just get it out of the way and you just relax.
Yeah, when
is that? Tell us the dates, man.
Well, that's
I know you'll be after, but
so Feb 20th Thursday, and then I think there's some more Our Beat shows. I think it's April, if I remember, around April. It's always a Thursday, so stay tuned for the dates and stuff. But it's usually
and you've got one beat show on that day as well.
So February 20th, tomorrow, a Thursday, we have the two shows. So I do the season opening at around 2:30, and then we do the Our Beat on the same day later on, like around 6:30, I think. So 6:30 to like late. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
So when can people find your work, man? And also, how can people contact you?
Well, they can go to all the regular social media spots, Instagram, at It's Terrence. You can find my YouTube, Trilagy Music, and you can find all my and also through my website, iamtrilagy.com. That, you can get in contact with me. iamtrilagy.com. And
so Instagram, you said
it's Terrence. IT. Yep.
Why
IT.
did you have to keep Terrence on Instagram?
Well, it's kind of like more my. It's a mix of my personal page and my artist stuff. Yeah. So I give people a little bit of a.
I mix Mutapa TV with DJ.
I think a lot of people do nowadays. Yeah. It's like, I know a lot of people have separate pages, and I do also with my Facebook. I have my artist page. At Trilagy, so I've got that. But nowadays, man, you sort of mix it up.
Do you reply to all them DMs, man?
A
lot of girls will be texting you in the DMs, sending you pictures and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you reply, man? How long does it take you to reply? DM?
I tell you, it's funny because I always try to reply to everyone. That's like my thing. Like I always try to reply to everyone. I'm not like, oh man, I'm, this and that. So I always make sure I try to reply to people and be respectful. And hopefully people are respectful to me. It's been good though. But I always try to, reply back to people, and because a lot of people think, I've had a lot of people say, oh man, I didn't think you were going to reply to me and stuff, and I always think to myself, why, so no, which is a good thing, it's cool, so I always try to be nice and try to hit people back, and because people, sometimes, not that I'm huge or anything, but it makes someone's day. Like even when I met celebrities, kind of like sort of like, oh, it's cool, so I try to be positive.
What message would you want to send to your people, man, your family, your fans? I call fans family, because obviously they're the ones who get you to where you
and
are.
I love the way how you put it,
man.
Because I never see it as fans. I'm the same way. I see it as family, and I say that because I've had people that are diehard with what I'm doing and stuff, and even this morning I get hit up by people that overseas and stuff like that. Just this morning, like I appreciate our friendship and all this, these type of messages. So to me, they're family. Because
what's the message you can send them right now?
Thanks for all the support.
They have to wait for the single, man.
Wait for the single. It's gonna drop soon.
Out, eh?
No, not yet. Has not dropped yet. It will be dropping really soon.
The problem is, I know I'll get the music before. That's why I'm saying, is it already out?
Yeah, that's true. Obviously you'll get it first. But
tell them the name. Tell them where to look for the single, man. Come
Extraordinary. Check my Facebook profiles and also my website for details. It'll drop really, really soon. I'm gonna have the date up.
What's your Facebook name?
Facebook, you can go to terrence.critical. My artist page is Trilagy.
Website
iamtrilagy.com. So go to that as well. So for the dates and things and show dates as well also. But Extraordinary new single is going to be dropping real soon.
Extraordinary.
And stay tuned.
Beautiful. Trilagy, we just want to thank you for visiting us.
Sure.
This is your boy DJ RonRon the Gaston Gladiator. You're watching Mutapa TV. We've got a special guest here. I think we're just gonna drink enough water to just relax ourselves. That's in here. Trilagy.
Yep.
I want to thank you again, man.
Thanks again, bro.